I was just settling into my aisle seat in row 18, ready for an uneventful flight, when a ripple of chaos broke out up ahead. Flight attendants were clustering around row 17, their voices sharp with a mix of confusion and exasperation. At first, I figured someone had spilled a drink or dropped a bag, but when I craned my neck to peek, my jaw hit the floor. 3 economy seats were mummified in thick, industrial-grade plastic wrap, gleaming under the cabin lights like some bizarre art installation. And there, perched smugly in the middle seat, was a woman I knew all too well from my neighborhood, Linda Haverford, the iron-fisted president of our Crestwood Pines Homeowners Association. "Ma'am, you need to remove this immediately," the lead flight attendant said, her tone impressively calm. "You've only purchased 1 economy ticket, and you cannot block these seats." Linda adjusted her oversized designer sunglasses, peering up with the kind of disdain you'd expect from royalty addressing a peasant. "Do you know who I am?" she snapped, her voice dripping with arrogance. "I'm the president of Crestwood Pines HOA. I have executive travel PRI-VY leases." She gestured grandly to a handwritten sign taped to her plastic fortress. "Saw private seating. First class only." Saw I nearly choked on my water. Executive PRI-VY leases? On a budget airline? The flight attendant, bless her, tried again. "Ma'am, HOA authority doesn't apply to commercial flights. Other passengers have assigned seats here, and we're preparing for takeoff." Linda crossed her arms, her lips curling into a smirk. "Well, they'll need to be reassigned. I've established my first-class suite, and I have documentation." She reached into her purse and whipped out a piece of Crestwood Pines HOA letterhead, complete with her own signature scrawled at the bottom. I groaned audibly, earning a glance from the guy next to me. Everyone in our neighborhood knew Linda. Last month, she tried to slap me with a DULA 300 fine because my mailbox was 1 shade too blue. Now, she was bringing her special brand of tyranny to 30,000 feet. As more passengers boarded, the aisle turned into a traffic jam. People were whispering, pointing, pulling out their phones to record the spectacle. Linda soaked up the attention like a reality TV star, smiling as if she'd just checkmated the entire airline industry. Things took a turn when a young couple with a sleepy toddler approached row 17. The dad double-checked his boarding pass before speaking up, polite as could be. "Excuse me, I think you're in our seats. We're in 17A and 17B. Linda's face twisted into a scowl of pure indignation. "Your VYOLADing established airspace property lines," she declared, as if reading from some imaginary in-flight HOA handbook. "These seats have been sectioned off per first-class conversion protocol." The mom, cradling her exhausted daughter, pleaded softly. "Please, we just want to sit down. Our kid's worn out." Linda didn't even blink. "Not my problem," she said icily. "Maybe you should have planned better or sprung for real first-class tickets instead of invading my personal space. There are plenty of seats in the back for your situation." The cabin went quiet, the kind of quiet that hums with collective outrage. A second flight attendant arrived, flanked by a customer care VYC manager who looked like he'd seen it all. "Ma'am, this is your final warning," the manager said, his voice firm but professional. "Return to your assigned seat and remove this plastic, or we'll involve airport security." Linda's response? She yanked out her phone and started recording. "I'm documenting this class discrimination," she bellowed, loud enough for the whole plane to hear. "I will not be intimidated by airline staff who clearly don't understand the reciprocal agreement between HOA executive boards and domestic carriers." She was making it up, spinning nonsense with the confidence of a seasoned con artist. A few passengers exchanged confused glances, as if wondering if such an agreement might actually exist. "Look at how these flying peasants are treating me," she narrated to her phone, framing herself as the VY Tim in some grand documentary. "This is why I had to create my own first-class experience. The elitism in this industry is appalling." The delay was pushing 15 minutes now, and the cabin's patience was fraying. Phones were out everywhere, capturing Linda's meltdown in real time. She stood inside her plastic cocoon, pointing at random passengers and threatening to add them to a no-fly HOA watch list. Then a voice cut through from a few rows back. "Hey, I know you," a woman shouted. "You're that crazy HOA lady from those VY Deos. Didn't you try to tow an ambulance because it was parked in a no-parking zone during an emergency?" Linda's face flushed crimson. That ambulance was violating our neighborhood aesthetic guidelines, and they didn't file the proper emergency parking form, she shot back, as if that settled the matter. The cabin erupted in murmurs. Another guy held up his phone, showing a TikTok of Linda measuring a neighbor's Christmas lights with a ruler, threatening fines for every inch over the HOA limit. The flight crew huddled, and I saw one of them on the phone, likely with the captain. Soon, the captain's voice crackled over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the delay. We're addressing a situation that requires airport personnel. Please remain seated." Linda, unbelievably, took this as a win. She plopped down, arranging a pile of pillows she'd brought from home, and had the gall to flag down a flight attendant for pre-departure champagne. 5 minutes later, 2 airport police officers boarded, their boots thudding with purpose. The cabin fell silent. "Ma'am," one officer said, "the captain has requested you comply with crew instructions or deplane. Those are your only options." Linda gaped at them. "Do you know who you're talking to? I manage a $17 million community budget. I can have you both banned from Crestwood Pines with one phone call." The officers exchanged a look that said they'd heard it all before. "Ma'am, step out now, or you'll be removed and charged with interfering with a flight crew, a federal offense." For a split second, I thought she might back down. She glanced around, maybe hoping for a single ally. Finding none, her face hardened. "This is HOA harassment," she cried. "I'm suing this airline, these officers, and every passenger who recorded me without proper release forms." That was the last straw. The officers moved in, swiftly extracting her from her plastic throne. As they marched her down the aisle, she kept ranting. "You'll hear from my attorneys. This plastic wrap cost $27. I demand reimbursement." As she passed my row, our eyes locked. She recognized meth neighbor with a non-compliant mailbox, and her face contorted with rage. "You," she hissed. "I bet you orchestrated this whole thing. This is a neighborhood conspiracy." I gave her a small, smug wave, and the cabin burst into spontaneous applause as the officers hauled her out. The flight attendants tore down the plastic wrap, and the family with the toddler settled gratefully into their seats. The captain came back on. "We'll be departing shortly. And folks, sometimes first class is about how you treat others, not where you sit." The whole plane cheered. Word spread fast. By the time I got home, 3 days later, Crestwood Pines was buzzing. Linda had been charged with disorderly conduct, delaying a flight, and interfering with a flight crew, facing a potential $26,000 fine and a lifetime ban from the airline. The HOA held an emergency meeting and booted her from her presidency, citing misuse of authority and get FISMAS appropriating HOA funds to buy that industrial plastic wrap, which she'd claimed was for community perimeter security. When I saw her next, pulling into her driveway, as I grabbed my mail, she looked like a ghost of her former self. She spotted me, froze, and for once, the mighty HOA queen had nothing to say. Her reign of suburban terror was over. But here's where it gets juicy. Folks, what do you think? Was Linda just a delusional, entitled mess? Or did she genuinely believe she could bend an airline to her HOA rules? Should the airline have let her keep her first-class setup to avoid the drama? Or was kicking her off the only way to handle it? And what about those passengers recording? Were they exposing a tyrant or just piling on for clout? Drop your thoughts below, smash that like button if your team justice served, and subscribe for more wild stories like this. Let's get this debate going.